I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing with a potential Bigfoot Sasquatch that may or may not live in the woods behind my house. I'm haunted by a conversation I had with a very good friend of mine about 8 months ago. A man who I consider to be wise, not just because he's older, but because he's lived. He's done things of notoriety. Ernest Hemingway said in one of his novels, the truth about old men is not that they become wise, but that they become careful. I would add to Hemingway's observations that you don't simply become wise either by aging. If you've always been in the same place, always done the same thing, always had the same job, that's commendable, and there's respect to be given to those individuals, a lot of respect. But it's the individuals who have gone out and seen things and done things and have multiple experiences, real life experiences, who I consider to become wise. Because where are the life lessons if you've always done the same thing in life? Well, my friend I had this conversation with fits into that latter part. He's a veteran. He was in the Army. He's been around the world, multiple countries, has learned multiple languages. We have a lot in common. He's a family man. He said to me, Kevin, this is really neat, this thing you have going on here on YouTube with this, whatever it is that's back there. He says, but you can't really ever show it in a video or people are going to stop watching. It's like, it's the end of the road. And I said, but no, that him, her, it, or they have been in some of our videos. And he's like, yeah, I know. Especially the one you did. And it was over the winter, right before the holidays. So we'd already shot the footage where I'm panning, talking about how beautiful the Blue Ridge Mountains are in the fall, and you can see a couple of them behind me. He said, I saw that. That's probably the best potential Bigfoot Sasquatch footage on the internet. But you can't really get any closer than that. Like if you were to actually feature one of these creatures or some of these creatures in your videos, it would be over. And I said, no, it wouldn't. I said, those groups that claim to be, go out and hunt these things, even though, and it's going to sound disrespectful, I don't mean it to be, but the most unbelievable thing about those shows is that these guys walked up any mountain or anywhere for that matter. It's like if their gator can't get there, they're not going. And where these things, their full AO, area of operations, which is not just behind my house, but way up on top of the Blue Ridge in the lair of the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch, where we shot that footage, these guys aren't getting there. No gators are getting there. You can't take four-wheelers there. If you can't go there on foot, you can't get there. And I know these guys can't get there. And if they try to come on my property to catch glimpses of them here as they're coming in and out of the tree line, I'm not letting them on my property. It's personal property. And my buddy's like, nah, it's not just that. He says, you got millions of people watching. You get millions of views a month. But once you feature one of these creatures in a video, people aren't going to watch anymore because the excitement's gone. I've been haunted by this conversation since I had it because I thought, you got a point. They say in life it's not the destination, it's a journey. Well, with this particular subject matter, it is the destination. And once we bring him, her, it, or they out to feature in a video, the journey's over because we've reached the destination. With this said, I'm risking everything today to feature him, her, it, or they. Him, her, it, or they being the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch that may or may not live in the woods behind my home. I'm going to do that today in this video for a greater cause. A cause bigger than me and a cause bigger than any of you watching. Something very serious that faces us as a race, a human race, okay? Our human existence right now, and that's this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff, okay? I'm going to do so because of something else which haunts me. That being the shaman back here who encouraged me a couple of months ago to once again plant 1,000 trees on my property this spring, which my family and I finally completed this past weekend. We wrapped it up with a new fruit orchard my son and I planted last week, and then over the weekend, my son, myself, and my beautiful bride Dearly, aka Giggly Girl, planted about 8 trees down here where we stack wood. Those were our 1,000th trees for this spring, okay? They've done some deforesting back here. Some tree spirits needed a place to go. We gave them a new home. So the shaman comes to me in a dream last night through the fog. Just like last time, it seems so real it doesn't seem like a dream. And here I am thinking, he's come to thank me because I planted the 1,000 trees. And he comes up and he says, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm sleeping, I'm tired. I just planted another 1,000 trees out here this spring, you know, upon your request. These trees we were going to sell. We did have some extras. We put an ad on Craigslist about some of these weeping willows we rooted from cuttings and sold like almost 20 of them this weekend, pocketed a couple $100, selling them $10 a pop. People came running, had to take the ad down. We sacrificed literally tens of thousands of market value in trees to put on this property to reforest, you know, 6 acres of land which have been used for hay for all these years. And where's my thank you? And the shaman's like, oh, so you think I'm here to thank you? It's like he could read my mind. And I'm like, yeah. And he says, that's not why I'm here. I'm here not to thank you, but because you are continuing to be selfish. And I said, how so? And he said, you are living in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. You can do something about this. You can help. You can reach out there and talk to people and show them what they need to be doing to stay safe and to keep others safe. It's like, what are you talking about? He says, get out there, tell them how to live, give some advice. I'm like, I'm not an expert. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. You're talking to me, you know, like I'm somebody I'm not. Like I'm like a superhero maybe. I don't have a freaking Hulk, you know, like the Avengers. He looked at me, he said, no, you don't have a Hulk. He says, you've got a Bigfoot Sasquatch. He said, shame on you, you self-important, narcissistic yuppie type. Only caring about yourself. And I woke up and he was gone. So I was torn. Potentially, I have a Bigfoot Sasquatch living in the forest behind my home. Millions of people a month come and watch these videos to see what's going on with potentially the big, here comes the wind, perfectly calm day, blowing over the camera. Yes, I was talking about you. I told them about your visit in my dream last night. I'm sorry, but keep watching. I'm doing something about it. Everybody's always like, oh, that must be cool living on a paranormal property. Wish I lived in a haunted house. Really? Okay, I did something this morning. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I did something this morning outside of my comfort zone to do my part, risking it all, risking you never coming back to watch another video, because I am featuring him, her, it, or they in this video today. Okay, because I was doing research on this COVID-19 coronavirus thing, and I'm being heart attack serious with this. This is not a joke. This is not a comedy skit. I'm being serious. I'm doing my part, no matter how small, by enlisting the help of the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch that may or may not live in the forest behind my home. They'd visit me here. I know exactly where they live, and you can't get there on your gators, so don't even come out. Okay? I did research. And this isn't out of my comfort zone. I love to do research. I'm a writer. I hate to read the news because it's depressing. And 90% of it is about how much certain politicians or world leaders suck. Save me the opinions. Give me the facts. You know how hard it was to find facts on this coronavirus? Not because there's just so much misinformation out there, but because journalists blame politicians for viruses and earthquakes and existence. Come on, people. Let's get outside of our personal views, our political opinions, and our unconfounded fears or whatever, and let's focus on the facts. It took me hours to find a few simple facts that I want to share with you today, but not just what these things mean, because, man, come on, this is crazy. You'd almost have to be a scientist to understand this, but to show you in action, along with my co-star in today's show. Time for them to suit up and show up. Where's my, hold on. I've got my potential Bigfoot Sasquatch research field kit right here. I know they know we're here already. We could tell with that wind gust. Of course, that was the shaman. But need to get our big furry friends ready, because they're getting ready to be enlisted here against their will to co-star in this video. All right. So So we're going to discuss some terminology here, and I'm going to give you some examples, real world, real life, through video footage examples with the help of him or it or they, how to go about our daily affairs. Not to just avoid, hopefully, contracting COVID-19 or the coronavirus, but spreading it. Here's a term that was a big wake-up call for me. Made a video just yesterday, I think, talking about how, you know, honestly, I'm just being honest with you here. I'm honest to a fault. A few people like me because of this. Most people hate me because of this. I'm really not scared of, I've lived through wars. I had dengue fever when I lived in the Philippines. I had bronchitis and dengue fever at the same time. I was in a hospital, almost died. You know what I did while I was in there for 4 days, dying? Wrote the last 2 chapters in my novel Isle of Capri, because I was on a deadline date. So anyway, I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm active, I exercise, active lifestyle. Our son's healthy, my wife's healthy, she's young. But here's a term that really woke me up. And I started this video talking about my very good friend who I think the world of and who is over 60. There's this term out there I discovered today called stealth transmission. Okay? COVID-19 is somewhat unique, at least different than the typical common flu itself, in that I can be carrying this thing and I can pass it along to others without showing any symptoms myself. I might not have a fever. I might not have breathing problems. I ran 3 miles yesterday. I'm going to run 3 miles after I shoot this video today. But I could still be carrying this thing. So if I'm being irresponsible and if I'm not socially distancing, I love that term. You know that term was created in an American university, no? But hey, it's a good term and it's fitting. But if I'm not doing it, and if I'm out there socializing with people, if I'm being dumb enough to go where there's crowds, I might pass it along to others and it could kill them. How selfish is that? My buddy, who I've not been around for a few weeks and who I'm not going to go around, even though I think the world of this guy, he's older than me. He's of retirement age, even though he still works more than me, could work me under the ground. This guy's got the hardest work ethic I've ever seen among anybody. But how selfish of me, thinking, oh, I'm fit as a fiddle and I'm not that old. I could be carrying this thing and not knowing it, and I could give it to him and I could kill him. He is a father, he is a husband, he is a brother. He doesn't deserve that, and I shouldn't be that selfish and do that. So I need to socially distance and I need to shelter at home. Now, that's hard. How do we do that? We're going to show you these examples here in a minute. At first I thought, oh, I can go into town and run. You go into Charlottesville, you see all these runners. You always see that one guy that's always got his shirt off, even if it's 20 degrees. We're healthy, we're fit. No. Here's some terms I discovered during my research. Once I sifted through how much this president sucks and how much that third world country's leader sucks. And I finally found a couple facts hidden there in the media. Okay, there's this thing called aerosolized particles. This is the particles of the COVID-19, which can travel long range. They can attach to dust particles. They're active for days. So if I were carrying this stuff right now, I could be breathing it out there. It could collect on dust particles and stay out there in the atmosphere for several days. That's why it's so important to shelter at home. The closest person to me right now, physically close to me, is probably a quarter of a mile away at a minimum, and they're inside their house. Past that, it's even farther. They're probably safe from this. But here's the danger. Here's why I was wrong in thinking I could go run, high-five my fellow runners in Seville. Hey, I'm doing 6 miles. How, you're going 12? Hey, yeah, that's great. Go pre. Of course, I told my son this morning, they called me Post in college. My college running teammates, they called me Post. I was like, why you guys call me Post? They said, because you sure ain't no pre. Of course, that's Steve Prefontaine. Go pre. They called me Post. Opposite of pre. All right, I wasn't that slow. But there's this thing called respiratory droplets. This is the most common form of transmission of this COVID-19 according to my research today. And of course, this came from media articles, so we don't know how true this is, but they were quoting a scientist from somewhere. Okay, but this is actually like cough. Okay, do it in your elbow, do it in your shirt. If I cough, let's say I'm running and I cough on my fellow, go pre, yeah, go Post, and I cough on them. These respiratory droplets are the most effective in transmitting the disease. They don't travel as far because they're kind of laden down with saliva or mucus from your lungs, but they attach to hard surfaces. This is why it can be dangerous going to grocery stores, any public place. Okay? And again, I might not have the symptoms, but I might be redistributing this virus through stealth transmission. So, how do we do it? We got to go to the grocery store if we run out of food. We do, but when you do, make sure to wash your hands immediately upon returning home. This proved to be very effective during SARS. We do that anyway. We assume most people do, but I guess most people don't. Stay away from crowds. And now, here's where we are going to enlist the help. This is where I'm risking everything. I'm risking you never coming back and watching another video on this channel because I'm going to now enlist the help of him, her, it, or they. Okay, we're in the woods. Why? Because we're hiking. According to the research I've done this morning, yes, I know those of you who watch the channel regularly have already noticed our companionship back there accompanying us, okay? It's the rest of you, maybe you're new to the channel, you've got to really know what you're looking for, but just keep watching, you'll see it. It's right in front of your face. If you can't, come on now, just pause it, rewind, and watch again. It's being recommended, according to the research I discovered, to actually try to stay fit, try to stay healthy, exercise, outside clean air is very healthy, but not if there's other people around. So I'm no longer going into town, running past Scott Stadium, looking into the field, thinking about how much I already miss Bryce Perkins and how that guy deserves to be drafted in the NFL this spring. Joe Reed is a receiver, best punt and kickoff return guy in college football. Pulling for these guys to go to the game, to do the big show. And I'm hoping that, this COVID-19 is gone before football season next fall so we can go watch the movie. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm hiking on the trails in the woods to my home where I know there's no one else. But let's say I'm out there hiking and there is other hikers in the woods with me. Like, potentially now. Okay. Some of you just saw him, her, it, or they. They were getting too close, so we stopped and let them get a little bit further away. You're like, wait a minute, I thought you were going to show Bigfoot Sasquatch in this video. I only got a glimpse. Why don't you get closer? Why don't you just run right up to that thing so we can get a better, longer view? That's enough. Because if you're out there hiking in the woods and you see another hiker, with this COVID-19 thing going on, you don't want those respiratory droplets transmitting this disease. You might have it, they might have it, no one knows. Because you don't have to have symptoms. If you can see another hiker, stop. Like we just did when many of you saw the movement of the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch. Stop. You've got to continue to socially distance. Give them, him, her, or it, their space, and you keep your distancing. So now that they're gone, we go a little further. Whoop. Yep, you saw it, duck back behind that tree. Just wait, sit here. They say wash your hands for 20 seconds. Pause for 20 seconds while you're letting him, her, it, or they, or, maybe a human being hiker, get a little bit of distance by singing a happy birthday song. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to you, happy birthday everybody. Let's all hope we live to see our next birthday, and we will if we socially isolate. Is that what it's called? No. I already forgot one of the terms. Sorry. Gosh. I said one of you were needed for this video, not three of you. You get the point. All right. Next lesson. Go long. Speaking of football, and speaking of movies, I mentioned the Avengers earlier. You remember that super awesome movie that came out in February? It was called Bigfoot Sasquatch, the movie. You remember that full-length featured film? It's a made-for-YouTube movie, so just go up in your search bar up there here on YouTube and type in new release, Bigfoot Sasquatch the movie, official. Boom, pull it right up, watch it. Great flick, over 2 hours long. But you remember the scene in the movie where there's a father and a son who have potentially Bigfoot Sasquatch living in the woods behind their home, and they're out there and they're passing back and forth, and the father accidentally throws the football into the forest. And just as the kid's getting ready to walk into the forest, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch threw the ball back, and then the father and the son took off running. That was one of my favorite scenes from that movie. Many of you have seen that movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Well, that was before coronavirus. That was pre-coronavirus. We're now post-coronavirus. And again, I wasn't that slow. I ran a 16:25K. That's not bad. Post-coronavirus, this is how it goes. Okay, let's say hypothetically, my son's not out here, but let's say he was here. I was passing with him, and I erroneously throw the football into my neighbor's yard. My neighbor, in this video, of course, as I said I would do, being the Bigfoot Sasquatch that may or may not live in the woods behind my home. I know I'm risking it all by having them, or him, or her, or it in this video, but we're doing it anyway, so you will learn how to live during the days of COVID-19. So I'm doing this, go long, but it's a misthrow. I can't throw like Bryce Perkins. Who do I think I am? No, don't touch it. No, this is different times. We appreciate you throwing the ball back to us pre-COVID-19, but don't just not throw it back to us, don't touch it, because I could be carrying potentially particles of this virus and not have symptoms and give it to you through what's called stealth transmission. You know all about stealth. Now, your neighbor's probably normal, but this is Bigfoot Sasquatch. Not only are you the world champion at hide and seek, but you're also the world champion at social distancing, and this is going to benefit you really good right now. Don't touch that ball so you don't get it if I have it, and that way I don't get it if you throw it back to me and I touch the ball. My neighbor just got a free ball, but it's not going to be safe to touch for several days. I'd let it sit there for weeks. Next lesson, grocery store. I just love fresh produce from the grocery store, especially if it's grown by local farmers. We grow most of our vegetables and we've planted some beautiful fruit orchards, but we live in Zone 7, Central Virginia. This stuff's not available in the winter, so sometimes we do have to buy it. And we love to buy fresh. We hate canned foods, non-perishables. Ugh, it's in a can. It's non-perishable. But this is what we're buying, and this is what's recommended that we all buy going forward. You know why? This stuff isn't that bad. And the thing is, this is going to last a lot longer than the perishable kind that we usually get in the fresh produce section. That means this will require less trips to the grocery store. We might not like it, but it's not permanent, it's temporary. And we don't want to be stealthily transmitting this disease to others, killing others that might not be as healthy as us. Even though we're healthy as we can be, we can get it and we can die too. We don't want that either. So for the time being, we're foregoing so much of this and taking on more of this. But it's for a greater cause. We're stepping outside of our self-important, narcissistic, yuppie type selves, thinking about everybody else around us, just like the shaman told me in the dream. We're doing it, you can do it too. And again, remember, as soon as we get home from the grocery store, we are washing our hands for at least 20 seconds. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. We hope everybody lives to see their next birthday despite COVID-19. But sing the slow version so it takes a full 20 seconds. So there you have it, a few pointers that I hope you take to heart about living through these times, these COVID-19 times. I hope you enjoyed. They always have their special way of saying hello and goodbye, don't they? I hope you enjoyed the helpline listed through the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch, which may or may not live in the forest behind my home, and co-starring in this show. I mean, they are the world champions, not just at hide and seek, but also social distancing, and they played a very good part in that today to teach you how to actually live out there in the real world during these times. And again, I reiterate, personal hygiene is so important. If you go out and you come back in, full 20 seconds, sing it like this. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to everyone. We hope we all live to see our next birthday despite the COVID-19, which is like the flu, but more transmittable. See you next time here at PBS. The potential Bigfoot Sasquatch show. Yes, you did a good job. You go back up there and hide now.